right, let's dive into a topic that can be a real headache for any dev team. How in the world do you manage all those different pieces of code that your application relies on?
You know the drill, right? Someone needs a shared library, so they zip it up and throw it on a network drive. Then another developer just grabs some random open source package from the internet. Before you know it, nobody has any idea which version is the right one. Builds are breaking all over the place, and it's just chaos. It's a super common problem, but thankfully, it's one we can solve. But what if you could trade all that chaos for a single, secure, and perfectly versioned source of truth for every single dependency you have? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about.
So before we jump into the solution, let's just make sure we're on the same page about the problem itself. We're talking about package management, which is really just a fancier way of saying how we handle our reusable code. On one side, you've got the Wild West approach, right? Code is copied and pasted everywhere, there's zero version control, and no one's really sure what they're supposed to be using. But with a real package manager, you get order. You get a single source of truth for all your components, where every single version is tracked and controlled. That's the world we want to be in.
So, how do we get there? Well, we do it by building our own private code library, and the tool we're going to use to do it is Azure Artifacts. Okay, the official definition here sounds a little technical, but the big idea is actually pretty simple. Azure Artifacts is just a service inside Azure DevOps that lets you create and share all your packages, whether it's NuGet for .NET, NPM for your JavaScript stuff, you name it. And it's all right there in the development environment you already use.
Honestly, the best way to think about this is like a real physical library, but for your code. Instead of having random bits and pieces scattered all over the place, you have one central, organized spot where you can go to find exactly what you need, check it out, and be totally confident you have the right version. That, in a nutshell, is what Azure Artifacts gives you. So, how do we actually build this library? Well, the very first step is to create something called a feed. You can think of a feed as the main set of bookshelves for your organization's code.
The whole process really boils down to three simple ideas. First, everything is going to live inside an Azure DevOps project. Second, you create your new feed right inside that project. And third, you just have to tell your development tools, like Visual Studio, where to find this shiny new feed.
And it all kicks off right here by creating a project in Azure DevOps. This project becomes the home for everything, your code, your build pipelines, and now your very own private package library.
But how do you hook up your tools? Well, when you create a feed, Azure DevOps just gives you a unique URL, like this one. You literally just copy that URL and paste it into your developer tool settings. That's it. Your tools now know exactly where to find your private library.
Okay, so our library is set up, the shelves are ready, but it's empty. We need to fill it with some books, or in our case, some code packages. And these packages are going to come from two main places. First up, you've got your in-house packages. This is the code your team actually writes and owns, like a shared utilities library. You publish this stuff directly to your private feed. And then you've got upstream packages. This is all the open source code from public places like NuGet.org. Think of something like the super popular Newtonsoft JSON. Your feed acts as a secure, private cache for all these external packages. So to publish your own code, the process is really straightforward. You build your project, just like you always do. Then you run a simple command, .NET pack, which bundles it all up into a nice little package. And finally, you use .NET NuGet push to upload that package directly to your private feed. This command right here is what makes the magic happen. You're just telling the .NET tool to push your package file to the source, which is just the URL of your feed. You are literally placing your new book onto the shelf of your private library so everyone else on the team can use it. Now, when it comes to those public packages, things get even easier. When you ask for a package like newtonsoft.json, your feed is smart. It first checks, hey, do I already have a copy of this? If it doesn't, it'll go out to the public source, like NuGet.org, download it, and then save a copy right inside your private feed. This gives you one single controlled place to get both your internal and your external code. And the best part is, you don't have to start from scratch. You can easily import a Git repository you already have, maybe one from GitHub, directly into Azure DevOps. This is a fantastic way to bring your existing code into this new managed world and start creating packages from it right away. So, we've covered the what and the how, but let's talk about the most important part, the why. Why should you even bother going through the trouble of setting up a private feed?
Well, the benefits are just massive. You get centralized control, one single source of truth for everything. It's seamlessly integrated into the pipelines and tools you're probably already using. And this one is critical. You get enhanced security because now you control exactly which open source packages are allowed in your organization. And finally, it makes collaboration so much better by making it incredibly easy to share and reuse code across all your teams.
So, by taming your dependencies with a tool like Azure Artifacts, you're not just cleaning up a mess. You're building a more stable, a more secure, and a more collaborative foundation for all of your software. And that really just leaves us with one final thought. Once your code is this organized, what new possibilities does that open up for what you can build next?
So here I have already connected to Azure DevOps and set up service connections. So now we are going to import the repository that we are going to use for this lab. So here select that repos and select files. And then down below, import a repository and click that import button. And here paste the repository URL that we are going to clone and select import. So repository has got many files and folders and that is required for this lab. The .ado folder contains Azure DevOps YAML pipelines, and .source folder contains the .NET 8 website used in the lab scenarios. Now we are going to make that main branch as a default branch. So that for selecting branches under repos, and then if you go down that main branch, select select this Ellipse option and set as default branch. So now here open that Visual Studio. Click clone a repository. In browse the repository, select that Azure DevOps. So now here it is coming to sign in. So click sign in. And here select that work or school account. Click continue. Select the user ID and then select access pass or password. Then select sign in. In here, select yes. Select done. Don't see here. Let me close this one. Then it will come. I think it's working here. So it's already signed in here now. And connect to a project. Select the project that we are working on. So select this is shop on web, this repository, and set the path. We can just reduce. maybe put C and repo and click clone. So cloning repository is in progress. Select that account. So you can see that repository has been cloned here. Now we're going to working with Azure Artifacts. So for that, let's go back to Azure DevOps portal. And here click on Artifacts icon. Now here select that look, first create a feed. So click create feed and give a name. Let me note that one. Feed name. Then visibility section, select the members of our intertenant or of our organization. Member of people in my organization, and this is intertenant. So let's select this one, that any member for this organization. Actually, if I go there, new feed pen, give a name and visibility section, select specific people. So let me select that specific people. Upstream, we are selecting include package from common public sectors, and this is default scope label, and then select create. Now here, select connect to feed, and this pane, in this NuGet section, select Visual Studio and copy this source ID. You need to do this every machine that needs to access your package. So let me put that here. And name and source. Now switch back to Visual Studio window. Let me duplicate the space so that can be easy. Now go back to Visual Studio, and here select Tools menu. That is under View, Tools menu, and select NuGet Package Manager. And here select the Package Manager settings. Select that one. Now in the Options dialog box, select Package Source. And now select, you see that there's a sign plus sign to add a new package. And here is the source and that name. So give a name here. So let's copy that one. The name we are giving, the same name like 597511603, and the URL, that source, name and source. So that copied, and then select here, update. And then click OK. So Visual Studio is now connected to a new feed. Now we'll create a publish a NuGet packages or package. So for that, uh, in the Visual Studio window, configure the new package source. So for that, select here File, and then select New and select Project. So from here, create a new project. You can see that there are different templates here. We are going to look for class library. Class library and .NET standard. So we can say class library .NET framework, .NET framework. Which one is the standard one? Yes, a project for creating a class library that targets .NET or .NET standard. Others are not class library, a project. Okay, this is Visual Basic project. So we need to select, this is C. In our case, we are going through Visual Basic. So you have to select this .NET framework. Let me make sure which one is the correct one. As part the document, we have to select the hash that target .NET and .NET standard. So it's C. This one, the target for .NET and .NET standard. Select this one. And then select next. On the configuration of new project pane, this is the new project. Here is a project name. Select the project name. Location, we are using actually repo. Solution, create new solution. Solution name, eShop on web. Shared 5975160. That is fine. Then click next. And that project will be create that directory. Click next. Additional information dialog box. We need to select the framework .NET 80, .NET 8.0 as framework. That is fine. And after then select create. So when that is done here, you see the option here that class 1.cs. Right click there and then delete. Prompted, click OK. And then this one, eShop on web shared, that one, right click there. That, and here is the option. Select the build to build the project. So you can see that build is in progress. And it's showing that build completed, build on succeed and build completed. Now switch back to Azure DevOps portal and go to artifacts here, artifacts section. From the lab machine, select for Windows PowerShell. And select run as administrator. Go back to DevOps console and connect to feed. And select that NuGet.exe under that NuGet section. And here you can see that the project setup. So copy this that we need later uses for later use. So let me be here. Go back to Visual Studio. And here you see that Open Web shared that number, this folder. Select that one, project. Just checking where is available. It's available here, I know, but I'm just checking is any other options available or not. Yep. So here, select that one and click Open Folder. Open folder in Find Explorer. Select that options. And you can see that path here. Copy that path. So I've copied that path here. This is my path. I'll go to that directory. Now when I'm there, now I'm going to create .NET packet build. To create a NuGet package. Not this one. It will copy the command. Now if I copy from here, so it actually created here. If you see that under bin release, it created a new get package. So now if I go to the directory, cd bin, then release. Now we need to publish the package to your to Azure Artifacts feed. So first we need to add the package source. Also lab .NET framework. Select that one, click next. Give a project name. Location default. Framework. I selected these options. .NET Core framework. Instruction actually change, it seems. And let's go back to PowerShell window. You can just type here. So .NET add package NEWN soft JSON. So ultimately, I cannot progress. So I'll give you the link. You can follow that one for the rest of the labs. That's it for this lab now. See you in next lab.